All right, guys. So today I was on the Stratocaster guitar forums and I saw a question from one of the members about intonation. And I was reading through the comments, and it became apparent to me that there's a little bit of mystery around exactly what intonation is. And what I'd like to do is take a few minutes and explain to you what intonation is, when you should do it, and how you should do it. So if that's interesting to you, stick around because it's coming up. So, what is intonation? Well, intonation is essentially an adjustment that lets you adjust the length of the string between the nut and the saddle. Ideally, it's supposed to be 25.5 inches on a Fender Stratocaster. If it's not adjusted correctly, what can happen is the pitch of the note will change as you move up the fingerboard. Okay? I think there's a few scenarios under which you should definitely check your intonation. One is if you're making a string change. So in my case, I just went from 9 to 42s to 10 to 52s. So the circumference of these strings is actually larger than the previous gauge, which means that effectively I've shortened the length of the string if I leave the saddle in the same spot. So there's a good chance, because I'm shortening the string, my notes are going to become sharp as I move my way up the fingerboard. So that's one time. If you're changing string gauges, you definitely need to check your intonation. Environmental factors can also cause your intonation to change. Heat, cold, these things cause steel to expand and contract and do these kinds of things. So that can definitely have an effect as well. It's a pretty simple adjustment. It's something that I would recommend checking every time you do a string change. It only takes a few minutes. Okay, so when you're making this adjustment, it's important to note that you really should make this adjustment with the guitar being held in the playing position. And the reason for that is really simple, because if you have the guitar on the bench, what you can wind up with is pressure between where the neck is being supported and where the neck is actually bolted to the body or screwed to the body, and that can affect the pitch. Here's an example. So you can see in the playing position here, I'm basically in tune. Watch what happens when I lay the guitar down and I just lift up on the neck slightly. So you can see it's quite flat. So you want to make sure that you do this adjustment with the guitar being held in the playing position. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the open E note in perfect tune here. I'm a little sharp right now. I'm using the strobe tuner on my Helix. So really you should tune flat and then tune up to pitch. So that seems to be pretty good. And now we're going to check the pitch at the 12th fret. And I can see that it is sharp. So I'm going to detune actually, just because it's going to make it a little bit easier to slide that saddle. So being sharp, I have to lengthen the string, which means I'm going to pull that saddle back towards the bridge to lengthen the string a little bit. And then I'm going to retune up and check again. If you're not careful with this, you could break your string, especially when you're going in the direction that I'm going. So I'm just going to tune this back to pitch. Here's my E. And I'm still a bit sharp. So that's fine. We'll do that again. I'm going to move it a little bit more aggressively this time. Much closer. Still a little bit sharp, so now I can maybe be a little bit more finite in my adjustments. Let's try that now. So you may need to re-intonate when you do this, if you're going to make a big string jump like I did. And that's bang on. Very close to it anyway. Okay, really important to break your strings in before you do this. Otherwise you'll be really chasing your tail. Okay, so I'm going to continue on and I'm going to check the rest of the strings and adjust the intonation as needed. So when you're done, just take a few minutes and double check, you know, check it, play a couple of cowboy chords, you know, that you would normally play here. I like to use the open ringing strings and just play them up here at the 12th fret because, you know, that'll tell me that's a G, that's a D, that's a G, a D, a B, and a G. You know, and if you can get those notes ringing out like that, your guitar is well intonated. Okay. All right, guys, that's it. About 10 minutes later, the guitar is intonated and playing well. The more you do this, more frequently you do these adjustments, the easier it's going to get and the less time it's going to take you once you understand how it works. Just as a reminder, once again, if we move the saddle towards the nut, we're shortening the string and raising the pitch. And if we move the saddle away from the nut, we're lengthening the string and we're going to lower the pitch. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Take your time. There's no reason why you guys can't be doing this adjustment yourself. All you need is a screwdriver and a tuner. So let me know in the comment section if you found the video helpful. Please consider giving it a thumbs up, and a subscription as well would always be appreciated. I do very much appreciate your support. Until next time, take care.